Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin. These two will debate real-life issues from a Catholic perspective every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Make the world Catholic again.
It's a Monday morning, and yes, we are all still full from our Thanksgiving meals. You know, that tryptophan, that turkey coma. Well, except for maybe Matt. I don't know. Maybe Matt might be. I don't know. Maybe he's still hungover from his pasta Thanksgiving. I don't know. Well, we're gonna make fun of Matt as much as possible on this post Thanksgiving show because, as we all know, Matt is not a fan of Thanksgiving, which is just. It's like one of the most un-American things I've ever heard of. It's shameful. I am in Germany and I still celebrate Thanksgiving. Matt is in America and he doesn't. It's sad. I don't know, man. It makes me. It's. I don't know.
What is the more American holiday, Kev? The 4th of July or Thanksgiving? What would be more?
It's got to be 4th of July. I mean, people blowing off their hands. And stuff
I heard it go the other way. I've seen that.
Yeah?
Oh, there was a video that went viral, not for the faint of heart, where this guy, the firework exploded in his hand and his hand was gone. It just had a limp piece of skin, and it was gross. It was kind of. I don't mind looking at that, but that
the stats of how many people get hurt on that day is really incredible. I knew a kid growing up who had fireworks blow up in his face, and I think Jane obviously I don't want to say ruined his life, but certainly messed him up. Yeah, and there was a football player. What was his name? Pierre. Pierre.
Oh yeah, he was the running back for the Giants, I think.
No, he was defense. He was a defensive player.
Or defense.
Either way, anyway,
he had no hand.
Blew off 3 of his fingers.
Yes, and he was a professional NFL football player. Yeah. He used to play with it wrapped up. I can still picture that, and he would have a white bandage wrapped around his hand and
thumb out. Yeah. That was it. I figured it. Pierre John Paul.
I don't know.
Somebody.
A very
New
easy
York
Google
Giants
search,
fan. Let us know what this guy's name was, but no, we do actually hope that you all had a nice Thanksgiving, and that you enjoyed it, even if you were eating pasta or whatever. And I do think that it's an interesting holiday because I think there's a lot of different thoughts on it. There's a lot of people who say it's a Protestant holiday and it's a puritanical. It's like, yeah, sure. If you want to take the pessimistic approach, yes, the actual story that we know of from school is that it came from the Puritans who met with the Indians and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, obviously the story's not likely. It's just pushed on us.
I bet there are some quote unquote rad treads out there who don't celebrate Thanksgiving because of that. Those black pillars.
Zero doubt. There are
people who don't have the flag.
I totally agree with you because they hate America. They're like, this is an American holiday and America's the devil, so we can't
celebrate the Antichrist.
This. Yeah, exactly. They actually just sit in their dark rooms and whip themselves during Thanksgiving holiday. but it is interesting though because I think America, and this is one of the things of history that people just tend to forget, that America was founded by Catholics, and it was even settled by Catholics. Even I don't know if you want to say half of America, but a chunk of America. The first actual permanent settlement is, I think, St. Augustine, Florida, if I remember saying. I think that's the first.
That's right.
And that was founded, of course, by Catholics. That was by the Spanish. The Spanish founded. They were in California. They were in Florida. They were in. You had the French Catholics in Louisiana, and so it's another part of history that has been lost. You know why, Matt? Because eventually the Puritans and Protestants are the ones who have taken over America and have written the history of America. But it was founded as a Catholic.
And when they arrived at St. Augustine, Florida, they had a mass.
Yeah,
intentionally, because they said that what the land we discovered here was for the glory of God. So of course.
Yeah, and I know that's the case too with Columbus, right? Columbus was in the Virgin Islands, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think it was the same. So they came on, and he's like, I think they planted the flag of Portugal, but then they said this is founded in the name of Christ the King. I forget exactly the question, but again, it was of course. Was it Spain or Portugal?
Spain.
Isabel and Ferdinand were
Spain.
Okay, that's right. Columbus was he Portuguese then?
He was Italian.
Boy, my history's bad. What am I thinking? Portuguese?
Next topic.
Hey, editors, take that out. Someone, please.
But what is great is the encyclical of Leo the 13th on Columbus. I've read that like 10 times, and every time you read it, you find a different fact, or you find a different, you find something different in it. And he actually wrote about Leo the 13th, how every time Columbus set sail, every time he hoisted the ship's sails, he did so, and he invoked the Blessed Virgin Mary. Mm-hmm. And him and his crew never set one mission without invoking her and entrusting the mission to her. So, you know, it sounds pretty Protestant to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, well, and it's exactly it. They took it from us, and I think we need to remember that. So, I definitely, you know, take it as a Catholic holiday, and we try to do the best we can to make it so that, you know, I'm in Germany, but we really try to make it so that the children, you know, really take it as a holiday of their own as well. Okay, we celebrated the Sunday before, I have to admit, but that was for extenuating circumstances. But, you know, and really remember why you're doing it. You know, to do it for family, and to do it for the right reasons, and to be thankful. I remember I think last year my brother was here, and I don't know if it was at home or at church. See how my memory is so bad. But we sang the Te Deum. You know, we chanted the Te Deum, which is the Holy God, we praise thy name, which is the, you know, really the Thanksgiving prayer. And yes. That's what it's all about, right? Is thanking God for everything that we have. And I think that that's a beautiful thing to do, and to have a big meal to celebrate that and say, thank you, God, for allowing us to have this feast, and to have the family and friends that are here to celebrate it. And that you can turn it into a beautiful thing.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And even, kind of to bring this up really quick, there's a funny video. Well, not funny. It's RFK Jr. cooking his turkey in the beef tallow.
I heard that.
You saw that? He's outside of his house, and he goes, you know, we're gonna cook the turkey the Maha way. And he cooks it the Maha way, and he dips his turkey, fries it in beef tallow, and it's just, he's got a huge family. And in fact, let me pull this up really quick, and I made a post about this. Here we go. So on Thanksgiving, RFK Jr. said, "Today I give thanks to God for the extraordinary gifts of a year guided unerringly by divine providence." I mean,
they all are, really.
Yeah. And I think,
do you like him or not?
You know, yeah. I just hit my foot really hard. Sorry, I'm dazed right now, and I'm trying not to.
Be thankful, man.
Ooh, wow.
Thankful that you have a foot to bang so
that's
hard.
True, but if I weren't on microphone right now, you'd be hearing a lot more.
Not live, but I'm not editing.
We are not live, but no, we can't.
No, maybe we do need to edit it after my blunder of the Portuguese, you know, Spanish.
You know, Columbus, your everyday Japanese.
Yeah, exactly.
There's I'll bring this up another time, but so I had, this was the article that I wanted to talk about, Kevin. I almost think, as I read this, you know, the first time I saw this article was on Thanksgiving Day. It was on Yahoo's main page, and it comes across as a bit outlandish, but there's a part of me that's like, you know what, maybe we should give this a deeper thought. So the headline is, Joe Biden must cancel Thanksgiving because MAGA and non-MAGA cannot break bread together. Fist slam. Okay. And then he goes, today I'm calling on President Joe Biden to do the right thing for America and formally cancel this year's Thanksgiving. In the wake of the presidential election, the last thing any of us need to be doing is walking into potentially violent and mixed ideology settings that don't often feature alcohol, longstanding feelings of familial resentment, and easily thrown pies. So he's kind of joking there, but he talks, you know, he makes the usual post that you would think about how we cannot coexist. These two sides cannot come together. And first, what would your initial reaction be? How silly that is, right? Like, why can't we all just, people have said in the past, you know, in the olden days, you put aside your political differences and you just kind of, you know, you get along anyway. But is that the Catholic response to things? There's things in scripture about light and darkness have nothing in common. St. Paul talks about how dust off your slippers and you're not welcomed in that house, right? And it was making me think, there are issues that both sides hold that are not really reconcilable at all. Well, and where do you think we go with that?
It's an interesting point, because I read today, we had a holy hour after Mass. So Father Haina prayed the act of reparation to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And in it, I don't know the exact
yes.
quote. I should have taken a picture of it, but the quote was something like, I swear, and or promise. I think I promise to, this is obviously not the exact quote, but I promise to defend my faith and to convince others of the truth of my faith, something like that. But to
proselytize.
I think it's the last line, Matt. I think you're looking for it now, but it's one of the last two lines, and it's something like, I promise to defend my faith and to proselytize, pretty much. That's the basic idea. And then it actually really surprised me, because it was like, that's actually really strong. So it's like, so you're pretty much saying, I am going to do this for the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm going to defend my faith. But real quickly, before you respond, we also did a recent podcast, which I highly recommend everyone watch, about charity and how to practically handle these types of situations. And a lot of the times the church recommends to just be quiet, pretty much. Don't open your mouth if it's going to cause a problem, and to be charitable and Christ-like, etc. It's a hard line to know. And I think you have to pray for guidance. You have to pray for the knowledge and wisdom to know when to fight and when not.
I think people forget that. And I think people they think that in order to be, fervent Catholics, we have to open our mouths every time, everywhere, every place. And that is not true. And in fact, right? Yes, or our tweets. And there are several, bishops today, and also you just read some pre-Vatican theology where, they say that the charitable thing to do is to keep quiet oftentimes. If there are people who are willing to listen to you and willing to engage in a discussion, but if you know that it's just going to escalate and turn ugly, and then you have a duty to not take it there. And I think a lot of people forget that. I knew a guy, and this was crazy, where he was so set on doing things like that, where like he would, and I'm not exaggerating now, I didn't see this personally, but I heard this of him, that if he would be driving and he would see a car with like a coexist bumper sticker or something like that, he would turn around and try to chase them and try to see if he can get them to pull over and be like, I don't know, like crazy, like we're on an episode of Cops. Like, he's gotta have that argument. And we don't have to go that way. I have this here. I don't think this is it, Kev. I just kind of skimmed through it here as you were summarizing the prayer or the litany, but I don't think this one's it. But you think about it though, because there's there's plenty that we don't have in common. With both, and not that the Republicans are the side of good either. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying, like, how does it? I'm sure, and I've read this and I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I'm sure there's something to say about Catholics keeping the company of not only non-Catholics but of Satanists in a certain sense, where they promote very evil ideologies. So at first you read an article like that of how MAGA and non-MAGA, and not saying that we're MAGA here, but cannot break bread. There is something to say, rooted in Catholic theology, about keeping separate. And there's Saints quotes. What do these things have in common? What do we do together? We cannot keep company. Saint Teresa of Avila said, bad company corrupts good morals. I think that might even be in scripture as well. There's a lot of things that are out there that kind of warn us about the company that we keep. Can we put all those so-called differences aside and share a meal together with people who are vehemently anti-Catholic, vehemently opposed to saving the life of an unborn child? How does that... I mean, what about you? I mean, in your personal experiences, have you had to deal with that? Maybe not as much as I have. Oh, you have?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And I can tell you, with people who are close, one way or another, you do know for sure they have a totally different lifestyle and beliefs than we do. Unfortunately, they shouldn't, but they do. And I think the question really becomes, okay, do you think that you and they can keep it civil, appropriate, etc., especially when you have kids? If you have kids, you have to really think these things through and be like, okay, can I have these people over and we can all just kind of, implicitly agree to have civil conversations that's not going to have anything to do with these issues? And I think generally that is the case. I think that's the case on my side. We all just kind of, you just know, hey, we're not going to bring up these topics. It's not going to be a problem, and it's fine. And it actually does work. We just kind of be quiet about it. The kids play together, and it's not a problem. But if you do have someone who isn't like that, who you think, okay, let's just say they're living in open late basty, don't touch it, as my 2-year-old tries to play the guitar. Sorry. And they come and they're, if they're openly sinful or something like that, and they're going to be a scandal for your children, especially, absolutely not. And I say, absolutely, you should say, sorry, we want the best for you, and maybe we can do this at a different time, but you're not coming to Thanksgiving. And I do think that I have not experienced that, but I do think that is a possibility. And I think that you do have to say, especially if you have children, you say, no, sorry, I don't trust you. I don't trust your conversation. I don't trust your morals. You can't come. Yeah. And if you think that, you do absolutely have to make the right decision. And of course, it goes for yourself too. I mean, you have to think of that too. Is it going to be is this really an occasion of sin? And if it is, then don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you think about people's upbringing. There are families that, the parents are traditional Catholics, and they have their 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 children who are all traditional Catholics, and the dynamic just works really, really well because that Catholic faith was infused into the household. But then you have those families where there's one child of a handful that is very much alone, and I've seen people like that. I have met people who started practicing their Catholic faith, and their siblings and their parents were like, you can't do that here. Like, this is not permitted. This is not allowed. Yeah. And so some people grow up with that environment too. And I've seen it get ugly with some people. And it's funny, some people get very hostile actually towards the church. I actually knew somebody who attended one of the parishes that I used to attend, that his mother and father, they were pretty clear, like, you can't have any of that wickedness on your walls in your own bedroom. No pictures, no icons of anything, no rosaries, and you certainly cannot practice that in front of us. So if you're going to do that, you've got to get out. And they're persecuted like that within their own home. So there's always that I admire those people for choosing God and choosing the true religion over what's very convenient for them of being with their family. But even in the article here, just to jump back to it, he says, I cannot break bread with people who do not share my values. And one of the things that, again, people mention is go back into the olden days where we each liked our political candidate or what have you, and we all just got along in the end. Politics has become very, very diversified. It has become very opposed to one another, where these, I was actually reading, I wanted to do some research on where did President Kennedy stand on abortion? Like, what is there to say of the Democrat Party of the 1950s and 60s on this issue? And the article that I came across said, you really won't, other than one verse, that was one line that was probably overheard by somebody, President Kennedy, Jacqueline Kennedy, it was never said, it was never brought up, because there was the common consensus among the people that abortion's wrong, that abortion takes the life of a human person. This was not thrusted in the political arena. So that has changed as well. I think a lot of the issues that were once considered normal, that are now very much opposed to one another. And I think, just to make a final point here, I think in this election that we just went through, I think a lot of people realized that they were so tired and so fed up of the Democrat Party really campaigning and living on these social issues, where a lot of people didn't want to hear about it. They were like, I wanted to vote. This is not me speaking. I wanted to vote for a Democrat, but I cannot hear any more of this pronoun stuff, this who goes in what back. Like, just stop. Like, it's completely
and they still don't get it. I just heard the other day that they're the best chance of running in 2028 is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and it's like, really? I mean, like, and I actually, you and I talked about this with Father Gecko. I have a very tiny bit of respect for her, because I think she is insane and evil. So don't get me wrong, I'm saying that obviously, but she has a little bit of honesty, that she actually does have some beliefs. I don't think she just sells, her ideas to the highest bidder. So that is something, but she's totally woke. She's totally, they would put her in because she's a woman and because she is Latina or whatever. And it's not going to work. And I think these things, as you say, people are starting to figure out, it's like, just come on, these issues don't matter. And I really hope that we flipped that. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing that the whole abortion agenda and everything was not the key issue. But that issue also lost in a lot of states terribly, like really badly. So
Oh yeah.
people still
Oh yeah.
voted pro-abortion. So what we need to do is not stop here and just be great, Trump won, awesome. That devil's on his heels. No, absolutely not. I mean, we need to keep absolutely pushing this so that of course abortion should be illegalized in every county, every little inch of America, and that's of course should be our entire agenda. And I think that it's an interesting point, back to the original topic of should we break bread with other people, and I think that is a really difficult topic, and I guess my thoughts on it are that, especially if you have someone coming to your house and you can influence them, you have sacred images, you have crucifixes, you have a good atmosphere in your home, and they're not going to go crazy. I think that's a good thing. That's a positive thing generally. Not always. Obviously, it's always different. But you can say, hey, look, come in and see my house. I'm a normal person. We can have a nice time together and laugh and joke and drink wine and eat turkey and have a good time. And you still see I'm a Catholic and I put my faith above everything else. What I wouldn't do is go to someone else's house that's on the other side. I just wouldn't. I'm sorry, because I think that's, it's going into their den and you're kind of approving of their lifestyle. And generally, it's a bad lifestyle. It's a bad, way of living and bad morality. And so I think, no, you can come to my place for Thanksgiving, but I'm certainly not.
So there's there's a few quotes here that I pulled up because I knew this website existed. It's pretty brief, but it goes topic by topic, and it says Catholics should have no social life with heretics. I'm just reading. I'm not saying that this is my position either, but I'm just reading here. So Saint Cyprian says that Saints Peter and Paul in their epistles have loathed heretics and warned us to avoid them. Saint Robert Bellarmine says that Saint Paul commanded that a heretic be avoided after 2 warnings. That is what also Saint Jerome writes, adding that other sinners are excluded from the church by excommunication, whereas heretics exile themselves on their own from the body of the Christ. Saint Jerome, I have always regarded the enemies of the church as my own enemies. Saint Gregory of Tours, heresy is everywhere an enemy to Catholics. They include scripture in here as well. This one's interesting. We should not have, again, I'm just reading, we should not have friendships with the Protestants. Pope Saint Clement I, if any man shall be friendly to those whom the Roman pontiff is not in communion with, he is complicitly with those who want to destroy the church of God. And although he may seem to be with us in body, he is against us in mind and spirit. And that is much more dangerous enemy than those who are outside and are avid foes. Psalm 118, I have hated the unjust. Saint Cyril, let us hate those who are worthy of hatred. Let us withdraw from those who from God withdraws. Let us say to God with boldness concerning all heretics, do I not hate thee, O Lord, who hate thee? There's a lot in here. There's a lot to say, and I don't think that these quotes just apply as we go about our daily life.
But I think that goes. So this is my. I'm not saying this is what the church says or anyone else. It's just my opinion. That I would say, okay, let's apply that to a communist, because that's easy. So if it's a communist, we know for sure communism is forbidden by the church. You cannot be a communist. So in theory, then you cannot, be friends with a communist, quote unquote. So my question is, what does that mean to be a friend? And my opinion is, if that communist, and you trust them, that they're not going to be immoral or scandalous, that they can come over to your home and see that your life is better than theirs, your values are better than theirs, I think you give that a chance. Again, purely my opinion. I think that you say, okay, yeah, you can come to my place. We'll have a chat. You can, of course, if you start scandalizing my children, I'm going to throw you out physically into the street. Yeah. But, I think what the church is saying is you cannot be part of, you can't spend time with it. You can't go and say like, yeah, there's this group of communists, but I'm not a communist. They're just kind of my buddies. I'm going to go hang out with them. And I think that obviously is wrong, because then you're implicitly approving of what they do. And I think that's kind of what it is with everything, right? Because I guess that's the question. If you say that I can't spend time with any heretics, well, shoot, Matt, you and I are going to
Just
have
stay in my
small
room.
circle of friends, right? It's just how it is. I mean, most everyone's heretics. It's
especially in the
unfortunate.
workplace where you got to go. People got to go to work.
Yeah,
to,
exactly, exactly. So you be friendly with the people at work. Maybe you invite them over for a barbecue once a year, but you're not going to go. You shouldn't go and join a club with them. I think that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah. And just one final point here. Where was it here? Flying from Protestant churches. There's a lot here. Saint Anthony Mary of Claret said these men are Protestants. They are heretics. Have nothing to do with them. Saint John Rigby. It is not lawful to go into a Protestant church. Okay. And there's just a lot. There. This one's the heretic should be burnt at the stake. Oh,
that is your Facebook status. Huh?
Man, that is a nice Facebook status. Yeah, put that up on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, you post that, and like the next post is, "Who wants to come to my house for Thanksgiving?"
one point, because this is the Council of Florence, which contrast that to the church today. The Holy Roman Catholic Church condemns, disproves, anathematizes, and declares to be separated from the body of Christ, the church, everyone who holds any contrary opinion. And I mean, that is just like, oh man, weigh that against what is said today. And and I mean, this is a pretty good website. Again, I don't know the origin or the authenticity of these quotes, so I'm just putting them out there, but it
sounds right. I mean, Matt, this is the.
No, it does sound right.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both know from the world today, there is one truth, there is one God, there's one light, there's one church, there's one pope. These are things they're not just clear to us because we learned them. They're clear to us through logic. We can apply them. We can say, this makes sense. This is given to us by God. We not only have faith, we can also reason to it. And then you look at what they're doing in Vatican II. Since then, you look at Bergoglio. There is no, it's not even just like, oh, that's against my faith and beliefs, which it is, of course. It's against logic. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say all religions are equal. They all lead to the same God. The God of Abraham, God of Abraham, the God of Islam is the same God as the God of the Christians. What? No, what are you talking about? They literally went to war for 1,000 years because they weren't the same God. It's against logic. It's against history. It's against sense. And I shouldn't say we all see that. I hope more people continue to see it, that the church must always make sense because the church is divine. It is given to us by God, passed down through the successors of St. Peter, and it is perfect in its teachings.
Yeah. A perfect society.
Yeah.
Which Pius XI called her. I was thinking too, and this is, we've talked about this before. Francis, this is so just random. But Francis is hanging on, Kev. I honestly, I didn't know how much longer he would make it about a year or two ago. And he's still rocking and rolling here. And I don't know. I think it'll be a really interesting time for the church when he does die. And when we see what happens next and where the church goes. I don't know, honestly. I do think that there's a chance that we do get a Francis 2.0 to kind of just continue on with him. But I do think that I think it's a very likely chance, especially with how the college is stacked now. But I also think
300 cardinals and 200
Bergoglios. Yes. But if we have a Benedict XVI sort of swing, I don't know. I don't really see that happening anymore.
But who knows?
Who knows? But we have entered. So we're in Advent now. Right. So our time of Thanksgiving, we have the Ember Days coming up later in the month, December 15th, maybe or so. So those are coming up. Yeah. I always count on Father to remind us because I have a calendar. But
wait, it's an Ember Day?
Yeah. It's an Ember Day. But yeah, so we we've hit Advent here. We're at the end of the year. Already a brand new year coming and another
beginning of the church year. Yeah.
The beginning of the church year. Yeah. And just, I mean, this is one of my favorite times of the year because it coincides with the weather. I like the coolness. I like the weather. I like snow. And I always cite Saint Therese of Lisieux being a big fan. She prayed for snow. on her
Okay.
what do they call it? The day that she took her solemn vows, a robing ceremony, maybe, whatever that's called. She prayed for it, and it snowed. And she said that it reminded her of the Blessed Virgin, how everything was. We have a new host, our third host.
It's
we have a special guest today. She's crying.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to consider. My father-in-law asked me that one time, and he said, thinking of God and God's goodness, why is snow white? And it's a really just ponder that, everyone. Ponder that for a few minutes. It's
is anything whiter than snow? When there's snow that has just fallen, it is white. You can't. Yeah. There's not a lot that matches.
And why? Why did God not make snow brown or gray or black or pink? It's the perfection. When snow falls, it perfectly accentuates all of God's other beauty, and it really is. It's a really nice thought. I mean, if you start thinking about God's creation, talk about something to be thankful for. God's creation. I mean, and you see it, Matt, with how architecture has been totally ruined through time. You can see that
Notre Dame.
What men create can be ruined, right? So it can be great. We can build great things, but we can also build horrible things. But what God has created is perfect. It is beauty. And snow is just one of those examples that, it is white because God wants it to be, and because he wants us to be happy. And that's something definitely to be thankful for. He also gave us wine to be happy too. He
did give us wine. Be merry and drink wine. Did you see the new Notre Dame altar?
Oh my goodness!
You saw it.
We should say that for next week. That's a good one for next. We're going to do next week, and we're going to I'm going to show pictures because it's crazy.
What I don't get, Kevin, we'll save this for next week. But what I don't get is how anybody can look at that and be like, "Oh wow, look at how beautiful that looks up there. Look at how wonderful and perfect."
I think they don't. I think you can't. Hey, don't touch. Stop. I think they can. It's a good question. It's a really good topic. Let's say that for next week, because I think we could go 30 minutes about that.
Sure, we'll do that next time.
It's the idea of beauty being objective or subjective, and why does the Novus Ordo make things ugly? It's a really good topic. Let's save it for next week. I think we did. I hear one baby's crying, and my 2-year-old is trying to break the guitar.
You've got a lot going on there.
Matt,
the producer's calling for a rap. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, okay, guys, yeah, exactly. Hard rap. That's the 2-year-old producer. Basti, stop touching the guitar. Man. This is why it's the Catholic Family Podcast, guys. I hope you all appreciate it.
It's very family encompassing.
It absolutely is. Matt, as always, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. Everyone, thank you for being here. Matt, you and we're approaching. Is it 2 years or 3 years? I can seriously.
It's over 2 years. No, September of 22. So September 2 years and 2 months. Yeah, 2 years and 2 months.
2 years and 2 months. Wow, awesome, man. We're gonna keep going on, and we got a cool new project coming. You're gonna hear more of both of us, the traditionalists. It's gonna be awesome. Going to be good stuff coming soon. So everyone, go check that out. We will publish that here in the coming weeks. Actually, January 1st will be the first official show. I will hopefully make that channel this week, and you can go and subscribe and all that jazz before January 1st. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Matt will be here hopefully next week, and we'll talk about that a table, whatever it is, the thing they put into Notre Dame. And I've been there. I've been to Notre Dame before it burnt down, and I have some very interesting opinions on that church itself. So stay tuned for next week, Matt and Kevin. Maybe we'll talk about something else, but we're definitely going to talk about Notre Dame and its new refinished table thing.
Good.
Until then, God bless y'all. Matt, I'll see you.